Um, Wanted to just let y'all know we thank you. This is our first meeting in Des Moines, so just trying to work out some of the original details of everything. My name's Andrew Holland, and I'm a bodily injury claims adjuster based out of Des Moines. Just wanted to do some brief introductions today, kind of give you a background on the GenWine group and what we're set to accomplish. More or less, we're going to start this organization up with a regular monthly meeting. We'll have a speaker. Today we're going to have Anthony Rodari from our HR department visit about marketability and how to promote your own brand. In the future, we're looking to go off in any particular direction that fits into GenWine. The definition of GenWine, technically it's 1980 and above folks, but I just want to let y'all know we're welcome to everybody. So come on in, bring your friends. It's all how you feel versus your actual physical age. So come on in and bring all your friends. That said, I did want to mention that, aside from today's meeting, we'll have a regular meeting next month. We're also planning to have a social event. We're more or less trying to mimic ourselves like a young professionals organization, similar to the one that we have in Des Moines, and I'm sure they offer in Columbus as well. So expect an email within the next week or so regarding our first social event. Want to have everybody get together, just have drinks off-site, get to know one another. Kind of our goal for today is to have the speaker and then have everybody get to know someone that you haven't met before. Above all else, probably the biggest goal of this meeting is to get to know other people in other business functions within the company. It's really easy. I work with claims folks all day long. I know them really well. I don't know a lot about underwriting. So make a point today, now that you're all in this room and you're all out elsewhere, make a point to get to know somebody that you haven't met today, and we'll hopefully provide some icebreaker activities to do that as well. So without further ado, I actually wrote out the last name phonetically, I don't want to butcher it. I have Ida Haji Sulemanovic. She's actually going to present Anthony for me, so I'm going to go ahead and turn it off to her. Again, I appreciate everybody coming today.
All right, thank you everyone. Welcome, good afternoon, thank you for joining us. Hello everybody in Columbus, thanks for coming today, we really appreciate it. Very excited to have you. Also very excited to have our speaker, very first speaker of 2012, Mr. Anthony Rodari. Anthony's a good friend of mine, he's a great asset to Nationwide and to the Des Moines community. Does a lot of volunteerism, he's an avid supporter of a lot of different organizations. Just to name a few, he volunteers with, of course, Young Professionals Connection, the Central Iowa American Red Cross, and then also the I Have a Dream Foundation, just to name a few. As Andrew mentioned, Anthony's going to be discussing building your personal brand and job readiness. I believe we also have Lisa Kirk, AVP of Talent Acquisition in Columbus, joining us today, so thank you for coming. I hope you enjoy Anthony's presentation, and we hope to see you at our social.
Thank you, Ida. So I just wanted to point out, Lisa is actually in the video conference. Lisa, do you want to wave at everyone? Lisa, you there? There she is. So my boss's boss. Kind of puts me on the spot. I'll try to make you proud. All right, well, thank you so much for having me today, you guys. I was in the middle of an interview with Alex Knopf about 2 months ago, and she was interviewing for one of the positions that I was recruiting for, and she goes, hey, we're going to have this GenWine organization here Nationwide. And I got really, really excited about it because, and we'll talk a little bit more about my professional background a little bit later, but when I was at Principal, we also had ARGs, but we didn't have a Young Professionals one, and that was something that I really wanted to focus on launching, but they didn't feel that, at that time, it was a need. So it's really cool that we had that opportunity here, and it's even better that we have young professional leaders in the organization that are starting that up here in Des Moines and in Columbus. So thank you all for having me today. So what I wanted to do is kind of go over my previous past professional career, my development, and talk about how you can better position yourselves when you're getting ready to go into an interview. I primarily do the recruiting for the claims organization, so I cover the Central Claims Zone, Midwest Claims, and then I recruit for all of SIU opportunities here Nationwide. Today I'm really excited to have some of my recruiter here in Des Moines with me. We have Jenny Rapey, who recruits for our CSSS organization, and then Megan Wolf, who's actually sitting right there. She's new to the organization. She just started on Monday, and she recruits for our CSSS as well. Lisa, do you have anything that you want to start off with at all? All right, well, I think I'm going to go ahead and keep on going here. I have a presentation. I'm going to keep it very informal, so please feel free to pop in at any point. I want this to be informal, open questions. There's an interview one-on-one that I probably won't go into a whole lot of detail on. I'll have this PowerPoint sent out so that you guys can all have access to it and take that with you as you'd like. So let's go ahead and talk about personal branding. So prior to joining the corporate world about 5 years ago, I was in nonprofit management for about 4 years and came to Des Moines and kind of hit that brick. So I don't know if you guys are kind of in your mid-20s and you feel like you've hit kind of that, I'm in my mid-20s. I had expected that I would be at this point in my career, this point in my life, and I'm just not there yet. That's how I felt. I was like, I'm 23, 24 years old. I don't know what I want to do. I've been in nonprofit. I'm not feeling fulfilled. So how do I look forward to the future? So moved back to Des Moines. I was at Ames for a little bit. Any of you guys go to ISU? Okay, a few of us are Cyclones. So left Ames after living there for about 8 years. I was not on the 4-year plan. I was there for about 6 years. I was there for a long time. Lots of partying at ISU. So came back to Des Moines and started looking into opportunities in the financial services sector. So personal branding. Well, my dad is an executive here in town at Bankers Trust, and I've always had to live under his shadow. So every time I would go to functions, I would be known as Mr. Rodari's son. Not as myself, but as this executive son who was well known in the community. So how was I going to come to Des Moines and make a name for myself? So if we want to go to the next slide. Very good. So there are 3 things that, or actually 4 things that I wanted to focus on and kind of taking that reflection piece as to how I was going to make myself stand out. Yeah, I was proud to be my dad's son, but how do I make myself more known for my own skill set, and what do I want to do? So 4 things that we're going to cover today. What's your vision? What are you passionate about, and what do you want to accomplish? The next thing I think is really important is how and when you're going to do that. The third thing is who do you want to be, and what's your legacy? Okay? And then the 4th piece there is why. Sometimes when you set expectations and goals, as you guys might have done in the past, you might get a little bit unmotivated because you're like, gosh, these results aren't coming in as fast as I want. So the 4th piece is why. Jenny, you want to go to the next piece? Okay. So when I came to Des Moines, like I said, there's lots of opportunities to network and to get involved. So what I found were some websites when I was doing kind of my own research on local resources as to how to get more involved in the community and to network, because I didn't know a whole lot of people. A lot of my friends from college were just starting to have families, they were getting married, and I wasn't ready for that lifestyle yet. So I wanted to kind of build my career. So I saw that there was the Young Professionals Connection here in Des Moines, which I'm not sure if you guys are very familiar with. In Ohio, I actually found a couple of sites that I've added on here. Towards the bottom, it looks like there's a Columbus YP group also that you can get involved with. And then for those of you guys that live in West Des Moines, there's also, it's called New View, which is the Young Professionals group for those who live out in West Des Moines. But they fall under the umbrella of the Greater Des Moines Partnership. So it's a great way to interact with other young professionals, not only in financial services, but those that work in nonprofit, in education, in a very diverse group of fields. So I decided to get involved with that. Through that organization and working at Principal Financial Group at the time was where I had identified what I was most passionate about. And that was coming from the human services world and being a social work, I'm really passionate about helping people. So when I worked at Principal, I was working in like the pension group, which if you take my personality and you put me at a desk and I'm looking at files all day, not going to be a good match. So we needed to try to find some other ways of getting involved with the corporation to network and to get involved so that I can get my name out there. So at Principal, we had something that was called the campus recruiting team. And so that was an opportunity which we have here nationwide, if you're interested, an opportunity for associates to go out and recruit during campus recruiting season for internships and full-time employment opportunities for new college grads. So I got involved with that, and that was when I was like, wow, I really like doing this. I could really do this full-time. I did recruiting in nonprofit, and I didn't know it was recruiting because we didn't call it talent acquisition in the nonprofit world. It was just your job. So once I identified that was what we called in the corporate world talent acquisition, I knew I wanted to get into human resources recruiting. So if you go to the next slide, Jenny. I needed to focus on how and when I was going to be able to do that. So this was right in 2008 when the market kind of took its dip. The economy started going really, really bad. I was approached by HR principal and they said, Anthony, we want you to be a part of HR recruiting. We're going to open a position for you and you're going to apply and you're going to get the job. Well, the economy took its hit and the position was canceled. So I had a choice that I needed to make. I needed to move on and look for other opportunities outside the principal, or I needed to stay there and be miserable in the job that I didn't like doing. It was a great company to work for, but really I needed to focus on what I was most passionate about. Again, that was helping people and helping people find jobs. So that's when, again, I started getting involved with YPC, joined the board for YPC, and was the board for the diversity committee. That gave me a lot of opportunities to network with HR professionals, which I knew would get me into the HR world, into the corporate HR world, and then started getting involved with SHRM, which is the Society for Human Resources Professionals, and started getting my name throughout the HR world. That was where I got to meet a lot of my close friends these days. Jenny Rapey is one of my best friends. You would never know in the workplace, but we hang out a lot outside of work. Ida is also one of my best friends from YPC. We sat on the board together. The three of us actually have all served on the board for YPC within the past 3 years at some point. So YPC is actually having a kickoff party in a couple of weeks if you're interested in attending. But so I was involved with that, and then I knew that I would need the education piece to back me up. So when you're in Gen Y, or in any generation, it's really important that you are open to taking risks. So I took the risk of leaving principal to pursue another opportunity during a really bad economic climate. So I decided that if I was going to push myself professionally, I was going to pursue my master's degree in HR. So remember how I told you I wasn't on the 4-year plan at Iowa State? I applied to Drake's Master's Public Administration program in HR, and I had to talk my way into the program. So it's all about your connections and how you interact with people. So I went and met with the dean of the MPA program. She goes, Anthony, it looks like you're really involved with a lot of high-profile organizations, and your resume looks great, but your GPA is really not that high, and you needed to have a 3 point to get into the program, and my GPA was like a 2.5, like not. I didn't start getting my stuff together until senior year. So, talked my way into the program. I was on like a probationary period of like you have to have a 3.0 for X amount of semesters, otherwise they'd kick you out. So I'm like, all right, I can do it. And then started getting more involved with the community, made some really good contacts. So if you get involved with YPC and you join the board, they'll actually let you sit in on executive committees for the partnership, which is where you can interact with business community leaders for all the corporations here in Des Moines, Nationwide, Bankers Trust, Wells Fargo, Walmart, Blue Cross Blue Shield. They all are involved with that. So when I was a part of the diversity committee, I sat on a committee with all of the HR executives, and that's how I got my name out. From there, I was approached by Wells Fargo, joined Wells Fargo's recruiting organization, and was a recruiter for them. And we had an opening. I brought Jenny along with me there. So that was a lot of fun. We worked together at Wells. One of the most important things that I want to go on to is the next bullet point, and that's to have realistic goals and expectations for yourself. I'm a little bit OCD when it comes to this sort of thing, but it's the only way. I think I have attention deficit disorder because if I focus on too many things, I won't get anything done. So I actually have my goals listed on an Excel sheet, and I split them up into 4 different categories. I split them up into my personal goals, my professional goals, my financial goals, and then my health goals. And then I list them out every single year. And I put a timeline as to when I hope to meet each of those goals. If I don't meet them at the end of the year, then I'll go into the following year and just drag it over. So there's one on there that I bring over every single year, and that's to be honest with my sister. So that carries along. I'm working on it though. So I've been talking about getting involved and networking the entire time. The next thing is to find a mentor. So it doesn't have to be here at Nationwide. I know that Lisa said that on the careers learning and development tool that there is a mentoring toolkit. Is that right, Lisa?
Right.
Right. Okay, so she's nodding. So there's a way that you can find a mentor through Nationwide, but in Des Moines and I think maybe in Columbus, the communities are so small. We're a big small city, but it's really not that hard to have access to executives within your own company and outside of Nationwide. So one of my mentors is, I don't know if you guys have heard the name Subbu Radia. So he's the CEO of Bankers Trust, and I meet with him on a monthly basis. We talk about my career path, where I should go, what I should do in the future to get to where I want to be. I don't really know long term where I want to be yet, and I think that's okay. So find a mentor. The next thing is LinkedIn. Have you guys all heard of LinkedIn? How many of you in here have a LinkedIn account? Good. Okay, so if you don't have a LinkedIn account, make sure that you get one. That's how Nationwide found me. So when I was recruiting for Wells, I loved my job, loved my team, I was really engaged. And then I get this message on LinkedIn from my manager, Jason, who's now my manager, talking to me about an opportunity here at Nationwide. And so we connected, and recruiters use LinkedIn a lot when we're sourcing, and that's what we use when we're going out trying to find candidates that might be a good fit for some of your really specialized positions. And so I had always heard good things about Nationwide. I actually was talking to Jenny, and I'm like, dude, Nationwide just LinkedIn me, and they've got an opportunity. And I have this a little bit of a reputation in Des Moines for not really being a job hopper. But if you think about it, I went from principal to Wells Fargo to Nationwide in the course of like a year and a half. So, in our generation, that's something that's becoming more common. So I talked with Jenny and I said, hey, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Do I take this opportunity? Jason, my boss, sold me on the business. He seemed like a manager that I would be really, really engaged with. Talked to me about the team. I knew about Nationwide. I actually contacted Tracy Baker, who was on my team here in Des Moines. We went to high school together, and I said, Tracy, it looks like Jason Grant. Tell me about this guy. Tell me about recruiting at Nationwide. And she said, it'd be a really good opportunity for you if you came on board. I called Ida right away, and I said, tell me about your company. Tell me about Nationwide. So they all sold me on the company, and it was a really good leadership opportunity for me to come and lead the efforts for claims recruiting. So I took the opportunity, and I don't regret it. So if you don't have a LinkedIn account, create one. It's pretty much like an online resume. You can see where I've worked, what organizations I'm involved with, and you can actively, I don't want to call it creeping on people, but you can look at profiles of individuals that you can connect with. So maybe you want to get into marketing, or maybe you want to get into the nonprofit world. There's tons of professionals on there that you can connect with and kind of get to know. The fourth thing there is when you're going to get things accomplished. Again, as I talked about, if you don't have a timeline, it's never going to happen. So I remember specifically for grad school, and I'm a procrastinator, hard to believe, but I am, and I will let things drag unless I put it and I write it down, and I say by this point, I'm going to have the application in. By this point, I'm going to go and talk to this advisor, and by this point, I'm going to apply, and I'm going to get in. So it's important to have realistic expectations and timelines. The first thing that I have on there is to create a vision board. Have you guys all heard of vision boards before? Okay, so kind of cheesy, I was watching Oprah, and it was an episode about, it was like New Year's resolutions and vision boards. And so pretty much what the concept was is you create an image, and you cut out these pictures, and you cut out these words of things that you want to become. And so what I brought with me today, and my mom's kind of fancied it up a little bit. I had to go back to my parents' house last night to pick it up. But I created a vision board about 3 years ago, once I hit kind of like that phase of where do I want to go, what do I want to be. So I brought it, and here's what it looks like. For those in Columbus, I'll try to take a picture and send it. But Jenny, will you hold the microphone for a minute? So, all right, so you guys can come up and get a better look at this, but what my vision board consisted of was things that I wanted to be and things that I wanted to become and things that I wanted to have. So what launched it was back in 2008, Juice Magazine, which is a local magazine here in Des Moines that is it's more directed towards the young professional demographic, which you guys all know. Was launching this YP of the Year award. And they said, hey, Anthony, you're really involved in the community. We'd like for you to be on the cover, and we want you to have an article. So that just created a whole line of opportunities. And from there, I was like, I need to build a vision board, because that was when I was kind of in transition, not really knowing where I wanted to go. So I put on there both personal and professional things that I wanted to accomplish. So if you look at some of the words that I had promotion, I had striving for diverse impact, because I'm really passionate about diversity. I'm kind of crazy when it comes to personal fitness. So if you don't find me at work, you can usually find me running at Grays Lake. or at Kosama or at Barrel. So I had that on there. I had family on there. I had WAFT. I'm a homeowner now, so that was on my vision board. And then just other articles to keep me motivated. And I was talking to Jenny just like last week, and I'm like, you remember that vision board that I was telling you about? I looked at it the other day, and everything on that vision board has come to light. So I made it a goal now to create a vision board for every single time I have maxed out on all my goals to keep me motivated, to keep me setting those new goals. So if you haven't thought about it, I definitely encourage you to create one, because magically, like Oprah said, they will come alive. All right, let's go ahead and go to the next slide. The next question is really important for you when you're building your personal brand, because you wanna think about who you are as a person, who you want to be, and how you want to be portrayed. So with that, what kind of a legacy do you want to leave others? I listed some leadership competencies there and some traits. I knew that I wanted to be an influencer. I wanted to be authentic. One of the things that my manager, Jason, says to me that really means a lot is he says, Anthony, you're the type of person who is true to yourself, and that's how you carry yourself in the professional world. So I don't want to be, what you would consider the fluffy HR person in the office, and then I get out of the office and I'm a completely different person. It's not like that. So I try to be as authentic, and I try to be as real as possible. I try to be transformational. So I want to continue to transform into becoming a better person every day. Being in the corporate world, as you guys know, it can be really, really dog-eat-dog. There are going to be some situations that bring you down, but it's really important that you stick to your morals and your values and your gut, and you continue to perform. I'm a strong believer of you owning your own engagement. So if you're in a job now that you don't like, or that you just don't see as a good fit, if you feel comfortable, have those conversations with your managers and your bosses, because they'll have that open discussion with you and talk about what might be a better place for you, or what are some other avenues that you can pursue. And then the last thing is just to be it. Hold yourself accountable. Go back and think about the things that we've talked about. What are you passionate about? How are you going to do it? When are you going to do it? And then do it. One of my biggest pet peeves, and my friends all know this about me, is I hate to waste time. So don't sit there and complain about it. Don't sit there and think about when you're going to do it. Just go ahead and do it. So those are 4 things that I wanted to cover today as far as personal brand. Let's go on to, I think the next slide is like interview 101. But that's something that we can go into. I know we're not going to have a lot of time, but I did want to leave some time for questions. So any questions that you have about personal branding, any questions that you have about the recruitment process, or about talent acquisition, or about job opportunities, we do have this new awesome Career Connect if you haven't gotten a chance to look at it. There's awesome features, both from the recruiting aspect and from a candidate experience. So if you have any questions, we can definitely take some time to go over those now.